You know what really makes us mad? Is wasting money on CDs with only one or two good songs.
Yeah. Tell them about punk.
What's up, posers? Welcome to Punk Lotto Pod. I'm your co-host, Justin Hensley.
I am your other co-host, Dylan Hensley.
And here's the spiel. This is the show where we assign our guests a year, and they choose one punk, hardcore, emo, or punk-adjacent album from that year. But it's the end of the year, so we're going to be talking about the best records that came out in 2021.
Yeah, if you clicked play on this podcast, you already know what the deal is.
Yeah.
It's in the title.
Yeah. The 2021 was...
This is no one's first listen. Unless you're in one of the bands we're talking about.
Maybe, yeah. This is, probably we've been doing the show for 3 years now. This is our third, because we started it in like August and we did one that year, for that year. So this will be our third best of. No, fourth best of. I can't do math.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just one. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're done.
Yeah. We did one in 2018, and now it's 2021, so that's 4 years. Let's, This year we're actually going back to our, ranking, because last year things got out of hand. We Justin
decided to do every subgenre he could think of. And I was like, I listened to 5 records this year.
Yeah, that was when I had a 4-part best of 2021, which might still happen with this. We'll see, but
yeah, the guest content's gonna probably be broken up a little bit.
Yeah, trying to decide how to do that this year. Might be releasing the guest content as their own standalones throughout the week. Don't know. We'll see. But
we're talking about it on the show when we will have to figure it out off the show.
Yeah, so I should probably not even worry about this. If you head over to our Patreon, it's patreon.com/punklautopod. For $1, you get access to all of our bonus audio. And this week, to correspond with this, we're doing a chart dive. What'd you say we should call it? Top of the Pops?
Top of the Pops.
I don't know that we should change the name.
Rate Your Music chart.
I don't know that we should change the name on another show gimmick.
No. Chart dive's fine.
Yeah. Where we chart dive on 2021. And so it's like, we'll do a couple here on the top here, but the rest of the stuff we get into more in depth over there on the Patreon. You can also join our $10 tier where you choose what album we talk about on the show. It's been really fun. I love those. We've got one that we've been saying we owe someone for a very long time, but it'll happen. I talk to him every week anyway, so it'll eventually happen. But if you get in on that, we'll do yours in a very timely manner. And I guess you should subscribe to the Substack. That is punklautopod.substack.com. That is where I'm going to be publishing my massive top 200 albums of 2021. This is out of the 500 plus records I listened to this year. These are my top 200. So that's going to be, I think I still have like 120 more to write. So got a ways to go. But that should be coming out. I'm going to try and get it out around when part 2 of this goes up. So be on the lookout for that. Today, this is your very, 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 very last chance to get your voicemails in for the best of 2021. That is 202-688-PUNK. If you don't get it in this week, and it's not making the cut, and you'll have to maybe just wait till next week. We'll play it. We're not going to not play it just because it wasn't in on time. And then, social media stuff. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, @punklautopod, and email address punklautopod@gmail.com. All the plugs are out of the way. So how about
busy?
How about that 2021, or as I call it, 2020 Part 2?
2020. We're it's what's going on.
Yeah,
you are living through it too. We don't need to recap the events of the year. We're talking about punk records, ostensibly punk records. Some not punk records.
Tangentially punk records. Yeah. Before we get into our picks, we decided we're going to do 10 each, so it'll be technically be a top 20. So we'll do 10 this week and 10 next week. We each pick, 5 to talk about today. So basically it's like starting 5, done twice for 2021. But before we do that, let's take a look, like we always do, at the other records that came out this year. What do we got?
What's good? Who's carved up?
Who's a piece of beef?
We've got Drunk Tank Pink by Shame.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only good, what are we calling that? UK post-punk Marky Smith impression.
Street tough Marky Smith is shit in it.
Yeah, the UK lad punk. This is the only one I listen to.
Yeah, this is the best one. There were a lot of them this year. A lot. And while we're on the subject, Idols was one of them. They're the kind of the band that kind of like kicked it off. They released a record called Crawler this year. I think it's their worst record yet. I love Joy as an Act of Resistance. The last one was okay. I did not like Crawler. I think part of the problem is they're putting it out too fast. Like the Crawler and the last record, there's like a year apart of them. And maybe it's because, oh shit, there's a bunch of bands that sound like us coming through. We better put out another record.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with them.
Or they're just worried that the bubble will pop because there's too many bands that sound like them. And nobody wants to, next year, nobody's going to want to hear guys talk like this over post-punk riffs.
Yeah.
Because it's like a talking over, thing that they do. Yeah, it's fine. UK Punk always does this, though, right? Like, Gallows, they're a thing for like a year and a half, and then it was over?
Yeah, UK Punk's weird. It's always like, everyone do it now.
Yeah. And ruin it. Nobody wants to do it anymore after that. Yeah, I'd say probably I'm surprised this isn't like the most popular record of the year. Turnstile released Glow On.
Get your glow on. Go play.
Get your boogie on.
I don't care about this record.
I like it. It's fun. It's Casio core.
It's fine. I mean, if people like it, I'm not. I think it's more interesting and more energetic, and it's cool that they're like playing on TV.
Yeah.
And like, really, really blowing up. And I think that can do really good things for punk and hardcore, and in terms of like pushing people, I think, to try to push some boundaries, even if I don't think this record really pushes as many boundaries as people make it out to be. But yeah, if it inspires people, that's cool. I don't think it's bad. I'm just not that into it. I don't know.
I thought it was fun. I just had fun listening to it. Fun grooves on it. Fun little like beats that they put in here. Just fun hardcore record. Why you gotta be so serious about it?
Why are you so serious, bro?
Bruh. Why don't you go listen to Colors 2 by Between the Buried and Me? Why did they made a second Colors, huh? Did you even know that?
I don't even know nothing about that. I have not listened to a Between the Buried and Me record since like 2012.
Yeah, I wonder what it sounds like.
Prog rock. With breakdowns, probably. What they've been doing.
Yeah.
What else? We got Ska Dream. That's a big deal.
Sure. Jeff Rosenstock. Yeah. I want to like Jeff Rosenstock's band because it's full of people I like. Yeah. Like, every record is full of people that I like.
I mean, props to Jeff for giving people opportunities. I mean, for being like a huge dude in punk rock, and like bringing people on tour with him, and having people in his band who are not dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone. And then, been good to friends of ours. So, yeah.
Yep.
Rock on. Party on, Wayne.
There's a cool record. Pompoco's Cheater. Really fun. Like, what do you call it? Like, it's like dancey, kind of noisy pop stuff. Where were they from?
Someone compared it to
They're from Norway.
Deerhoof. Deerhoof is the comparison that I've seen a lot.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, and I was like, Deerhoof? Did they not sound like what I thought they sounded like? I think they don't. Yeah, I think they sound more like this. I dug this record. I thought this was a lot of fun.
Yeah. One of the best hardcore records of the year is from the band Slant. I don't know how to say their name. There's a number 1 there. For all I know, that kanji is the number 1. But they're a South Korean hardcore band. This came out on Iron Lung Records. It's so good. It's such a good hardcore record. Great stuff. Great hardcore coming out of Asia currently. Like, so much good stuff. Portrayal of Guilt released We Are Always Alone. They also released another record this year where they just went straight black metal. I don't like that one as much.
That Slant record is One Home.
One Home, okay.
That's what it means.
But yeah, Portrayal of Guilt, really good screamo with some black metal tendencies. Then they went full black metal on the next record, but what are you going to do? Can't play screamo forever, apparently. You have to change your sound if you get moderately popular. My favorite band were named to say Tropical Fuckstorm released the album Deep States. This is, their third full length? Yeah. Former members of the Drones. Lead singer Gareth also released a record under the name Springtime this year, which I think was actually much better than this Tropical Fuckstorm record. The Drones are one of those bands that's like on hiatus forever, too. So, like, they could always come back. Willow Smith.
I whipped my hair back and forth.
She whipped it back, and now
she whipped pop punk back into cultural relevance.
Yeah. What is it? The song Transparent Soul, I think, was like the lead single, and it was like a very pop punk song.
Did she do it first? The big all of the people doing pop punk this year. The pop stars doing pop punk this year. Was she the first one?
Well, technically Machine Gun Kelly's the first one because he did it last year.
Oh, that's right, because he did that. Yeah.
No, I don't remember. When did Olivia Rodrigo's record come out this year? Was it before this one? It might have. Transparent Soul was a really good song. This record also has that other song that's being used all over TikTok. Meet Me at Our Spot, like that song. Meet me at our spot. Yeah. Travis Barker's all over this record. Avril Lavigne guests on here. Cherry Glazer is also on this record. Weird. Yep, Travis Barker shaping pop punk, pop-inspired pop music for everyone now. It's fine. I'd say most of the record, it's like called an alternative rock record, but I'd say like half the record's just pop. Just regular pop. It's like, you're tricking everybody. That Olivia Rodrigo, half the record is just regular ass pop music. But they got good singles. So, I mean, you can't get mad at singles. So.
What else?
Every Time I Die, No More Keith Buckley? Some trouble in the ETID camp.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. That's doesn't make sense. I don't know how that band can continue without Keith.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically been Keith, Jordan, and Andy for a majority of the time, too. Yeah, I don't know. Some weird thing about... I think Keith needed to travel separately to, like, help with, like, his own mental health, and then that kind of turned into this whole other thing with the band, talking about his own brother talking to someone else about replacing Keith. Weird. Don't know what's going to happen there. It'd be weird if this band broke up for that reason, or for, like, after this long, you know? But, especially when they, like, released one of their, like, most critically acclaimed records in years. So, Radical, it's a really fun record. I liked it a lot, and I don't know shit about like Every Time I Die's discography. This is one I wouldn't have included. Arab Strap released As Days Get Dark. This is not a punk record. I don't know.
I don't know how that showed up on here.
The inventors of, not the inventors, but like one of the slowcore creators, biggest names in slowcore. They're back. They reunited. A couple years ago, they reunited to do some reissues and then some live shows, and then like they straight up released a brand new record, and it's really good. I've really missed their stuff. Their solo work is not nearly as good as when they're together. This is like tagged as indie-tronica. It's not that at all. Just because they have some electric drums on the album doesn't mean it's an indie-tronica record, but okay, whatever. Slowcore's not even a genre on here. What the hell? What is wrong with this website? Love Arab Strap, though. Very great band. So one of the things that we said on the bonus audio is like, we'll just skip. We'll stop at this point because there's going to be a lot we skip in the top. And then I got to page 2 and I skipped a lot from the top. One, because some of our guests have already talked about it, and I don't really want to repeat it. But also, I don't care about a lot of this stuff.
I thought that the Fiddlehead record was pretty good. I think that's worth mentioning. I'm not sure if anyone else talked about it.
Yep, they did.
I figured someone did. Big record, big deal. Pretty good. I enjoyed it. I did not care for the Torres record. Just couldn't get into it.
I liked it. I liked the last record better, but I was fine with this one. I liked it. It was good. Not in my top 200 though. So
yeah,
Sea Space Cowboy released The Romance of Affliction. They kind of got real big this year. They were already like hype, but they kind of like crossed into the next tier. For Your Health, another big screamo record, in spite of. Oh, Trico released an album like last week, and it's actually in like the top 100 on here, surprisingly. Jodeki, I think is what it's called. I love Trico, Japanese math rock band with some emo sort of elements to it. They're a really good band.
I've got one that would have made my top 10 had it come out earlier this year and I got to spend more time with it. But For Alting by McTaverscan came out in November. Really good record. Every McTaverscan record is really good. This is more of the same stylistically, but they're just so like catchy and like blissful sounding. Really, really pretty, dreamy, jangly post-punk, I guess.
Yeah, I'd call them that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see much else I feel like we should... Well, maybe we should talk about the Descendants, Ninth and Walnut.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did listen to that one. I thought it was enjoyable enough.
I liked it. I think I liked it more... I definitely liked it more than Hypercaphium Spazonate. I'd probably say I liked it... I don't know. Maybe as much as something like Cool to Be You and Everything Sucks. I like that it's like years of like unreleased material is what it was. And then it was like recorded in like 2 chunks. So they were written between 78 and 80. And then recorded in 2002. And then I think re-recorded later too. I don't know why they did this. I don't know. Was it just a matter of like, we have these other songs that we wrote. Should we record them?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. Like different members, too.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's an interesting idea.
I'm assuming they had them, like, recorded. Because how could they have remembered them and never used them?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they just had demos.
Yeah. Oh, it says recorded in 2002 and 2020. So, I don't know. Maybe they did, like, a take in 2002 of some of these tracks that they wound up keeping, and then another take in 2020. I don't know. I don't know how they did this record. But it was cool to hear, like, it's probably one of the most unique ideas for a record that I've seen come out of punk rock. So,
yeah,
it's cool.
My association with this record, I was listening, the one time I listened to it, is very appropriate. I was going to somewhere South LA shortly after we moved to buy an air conditioner window unit. And went and ate at In-N-Out. So it's pretty much a Descendants song.
Yeah. But, we'll you'll hear some more about some of these other albums, and then you'll read more in my top 200. But let's get into the beginning of our top 20. So who wants to go first?
I will go first. Sure, why not?
Okay.
I will kick us off with the least punk record on this list, which will come with all of its caveats as I explain it. But it's Junebug by wow, let me take that again. Junebug by John Charles Dwyer.
shades of stars and stripes, the bloody blue and the palest white. I leave the solitude of my home for crude confinement on the road. Music's loud, not loud enough to drown the thought of river muck. Another babe got washed ashore upon a land that was never yours. The lost and found still found a war. Thinking twice who I call the good folks. Getting mean, man, I'm getting cautious. When the sheep just reeks of progress. Shepherd's mean, man, he's feeling lawless. And it's never been my seed to sow. But so many days I want my hands on your throats.
This is my country selection. I struggled to find much country music that came out this year that I was like really into. This is even then, like, if you're like into country, loosely country, kind of that vague singer-songwriter Americana type thing. This was released by our good friend Grant McCracken of Bitter Melody Records. John is a North Carolina born, right? He grew up in North Carolina.
I don't know.
Sounds like it.
I mean, he's been in North Carolina for a while, if that, you know.
Yeah. Currently in Asheville.
He was in Boone at one point.
Yeah, I was part of that Boone scene. So, yeah, this record I didn't expect would make my top 10 on first listen. This is an interesting record to have spent some time with. And so I have one of the themes that I'm going to try to run through all of my selections here are maybe the time and place that I associate with these records. So this is a record that I kind of associate with home in weird ways. I mean, obviously it comes from North Carolina, comes from an area that I lived in early in my adult life, sings with what I would call probably the textbook example of a Appalachian foothills accent. Musically, it draws heavily from a lot of stuff that I was into when I was in college, like Avett Brothers and that kind of early Avett Brothers kind of things. And related, Jessica Lee Mayfield shows up on a couple of tracks here, and she's definitely a big name in Americana. There's pedal steel, there's some fiddle. I have two distinct memories also of listening to this record in Phoenix. Tempe and Phoenix. Once in Tempe, just kind of driving through town after getting comics. And then another time on our way to North Phoenix to go to a Goodwill. And so it's kind of just this like homey feeling record, unassuming, not like high energy, something that you can kind of just sink into. And I think the weight of it, of a lot of these songs and the lyrics, hit harder the more you can commit to listening to them, which I did on this time through preparing for this episode. And yeah, I think this record deserved its spot and totally didn't expect it to.
Yeah. It's definitely like the most country record that I listened to this year. Not a lot really entered that, that sphere crossed over at all. Like not a lot this year, besides some slight alt country stuff. But even then, besides Lucero, like there's not a lot that I like really latched onto this year. So.
Yeah, and I didn't care for that Lucero record. The Sunvolt record didn't really connect. There were a few other little things that I listened to, but nothing that really stuck. It was a lot of the country music that I heard was like, we're doing country. Like they're just in a way that just didn't work for me. So
yeah, it's a really good record. I was kind of like along the ride for Grant's involvement with the album, like meeting it. He was working on this record back at the beginning of the pandemic, and it was we would meet up at the park and eat outside because that was the only safe thing we could do. God, we didn't things are so different, but also the same. But like he would talk about this record, like it's coming along the steps and everything, like getting to do it, finding a plant, all that stuff. He played parts of it for me. Like, just I think I'm always going to associate this record to the summer of 2020, just because of like, even though I didn't hear the whole thing until this year when it actually came out in like January, February. But yeah, I'm gonna associate this record to that summer, it was like some of the few bright spots of that summer. So yeah. It's very, very good record. And I like, it's one of those ones that I kind of like, oh, wow, these lyrics are really hooking me in a way that lyrics tend to not to. But my turn?
Go for it.
Go for it. All right, my number 10 pick is It Thing. And the album is called Syrup.
Good to go.
So, this band is from Nipaluna, which is the Aboriginal name for Hobart, Australia. It seems like a lot of Australian artists are doing that thing where you just cite what the Aboriginal name is. Some U.S. artists are doing that too. Very interesting stuff. Hobart, I think, is also on Tasmania. But the record was released November 26th on Mart House Records. So this is like the newest album on my list of the year. And like the first time I listened to it, I was like, this is going to mess up my list. I was already like trying to finalize this stuff and putting ranking and stuff. And now I got to throw this new record high up on the list. We'll revisit it in a week or two. We'll see how it does. And then I'm like, God, it's still really good. It still hooks me. So it made the top 10. The band calls it a 9-song EP. It's 24 minutes long. That's an album. You can call it an album. Which means when they do their first album, are you going to make a 45-minute record? I hope not. So the first thing I hear when I listen to this record, it reminded me of Control Top's Covert Contracts from a few years ago. It's like this very high energy sounding record. They cite a lot of 70s influences, which I guess is kind of there. There's a lot of that going on in Australia. Like, it seems like a lot of Australian punk bands are doing like a 70s throwback, like Amyl and the Sniffers are like probably the big name doing that. I think there's always this like Radio Birdman and the Saints like DNA kind of in Australian punk that always manages to bubble up. It's definitely like got that like rowdiness to it of the 70s punk stuff. But it's just like the record starts off with this like God's Car is like this high energy kind of throbby guitar and bass song, and I'd say there's some Australian or some comparison to fellow Australians Cable Ties vocally, but not song wise. They're very different song structures. Yeah, it's a cool record. Like, I think the first half of the record is really high energy. The second half takes like a tempo change kind of midway through. And so you kind of have these like slower, more like 80s influenced post-punk vibes. Then the song like Pet Snakes is like really, really melodic. But then like they end it on like two really aggro tunes again. Like Rocket Song being like a real rager. I think I found this through the Post Trash, like one of the blogs that I follow to check out new music, and yeah, it's just one of those records. When it came out, it was just like, oh, okay, well, this is gonna mess with things, but I'm gonna give it a chance, and God, it's so good. I love it. Did you happen to listen to any of this?
I listened to like one or two songs just to get the idea of what it sounded like. I didn't have time to listen to the whole record, but yeah, I thought it was pretty cool sounding though. I was interested to hear more of it.
Yeah. All right. What do you got number 9 there?
My next selection is a very familiar name. Another one I didn't expect to make the list, but I came back to it enough times that it felt right. It is The Crimson Corridor by Zao. Band, one of the genre's biggest originators, I think. Zao has broken up, reunited, whatever, sporadically released records, had a ridiculous number of band members, no original members in the band anymore, not Christian.
Yeah, definitely
anymore.
not.
They did the whole will they, won't they, are they not anymore thing. I feel like I listened to this record shortly after it came out. I kind of remember listening to it, maybe just sitting at the counter in our kitchen, probably looking through like old billboards or something. This one hit me much, much later, after we moved, revisiting it. And so I kind of associate it with being in LA more than Phoenix. That's my time and place. This one's probably the loosest time and place, but heavy records connected with me more in the latter part of this year, which was really not something I expected myself to do, a direction for myself to go musically. So maybe this just kind of like connected with the part of me that was listening to like Entombed and Death and all the other weird heavy stuff I listened to this year. But I dig it. It's classic Scott riffs. Dan sounds great. It feels like the band and not, Scott and a drummer and then Dan coming in last minute. Listening to this record reminded me of listening to some of the last few Zao records and being like, man, I don't like Jeff's drumming. It's just not right. And then listening to this and I'm like, Jeff's drumming is fucking sick. I love to have that turnaround.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a long record. And maybe that's the one knock against it. It's 57 minutes long, but it's really, they draw a lot on their, I feel like they draw a lot on their like atmospheric, like the Neurosis type influence here in a way that they haven't done in a very long time. Scott gets to sing a little bit. Yeah, I dig this record. I think it's really cool. And I think it's really cool to see Zao putting out top tier, upper caliber in their discography record so late in the game. after so many ups and downs.
Did you know that this version of the band has existed longer than any other version of the band?
That makes sense.
It's been 15 years since The Fear Is What Keeps Us Here. And the original run up to that record was only 10 years. So, like, and that's with, like, the hardcore lineup, the Blood and Fire lineup, the, you know, like, the Liberate through Funeral lineup. Funeral itself has its own, like, weird lineup. So, like, they've been doing this version of the band for longer. There have just been really big gaps in activity.
Yeah.
But this new, like, everything they've done since 2015 with the Xenophobe 7-inch is, like, it's more consistent. Like, they're regularly putting stuff out. I think they finally got to a point where, like, they figured out how to make this band stay a band. And, yeah, this record's really good. It might be my favorite of the new Zayo records.
I think this is my favorite since Funeral of God.
Yeah?
I like it. I think I like it more than The Fear. Definitely more than Awake.
Oh, man, Awake was disappointing.
Yeah, he just had so much hope that they would, like, because there was a big gap between The Fear and that record, and
Yeah.
and they teased it for a long time, and then it was just kind of like, this is fine.
I mean, it's cool to have the Romance of Southern Spirit on a record. I guess
Yeah.
that's like its main contribution. Love them. Love Zayo in every incarnation, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good.
Yeah. All right, my number 9 is Life in Retreat by the band Fixtures. This was a self-released album, came out April 27th. They are a self-described mathy angular post-hardcore band from Seattle, Washington. So don't get mad at me, writers who are like, we can't be saying angular anymore.
I'm tired of these geometric descriptions for bands.
So we're big Jawbox fans here, and so anytime you're able to find a new band that I think that gets compared to them, I'll always try them out. I tried to find that Jawbox comparison, and I don't know where I saw it. So like I don't know. I may have just been like the Doesn't Suck group on Facebook. Somebody posted in there, maybe. But you know, for a band that's so important like Jawbox, there sure are not a lot of bands that sound like them. Maybe because it's really hard.
It's hard. Definitely hard. Yeah, Jawbox riffs are weird if you try and play them. And then you have to also factor in everything else about them. Like being able to write melodic hooks that work with those weird riffs and arpeggios.
Yeah.
Having that bass presence. I mean, just the rhythm section in that band is like incomparable. And Jay Robbins' voice is like, nobody sings like that.
But yeah, this record, so the band started as like a musical outlet for guitarist Kyle Schaefer while he was in lockdown at the beginning of the pandemic. He posted some songs online and they got the attention of a couple other musicians in the area. This record is Matt Maisano on drums and Jeff Bartlett on bass. They got together. They turned into a real band. They really cite a lot of DC bands like Farracat and Cua Not You as influences, but then they throw in like Small Brown Bike and Bear vs. Shark as influences too. So like, whoa, okay, you're like already naming like all things I love. And like this kind of mathy punk and hardcore, like a lot of times bands wind up in that Kinsella style, you know, like the Kinsella worship, emo revival sort of thing. And I have always kind of preferred the heavier sounding stuff, like you could hear in like the Louisville sound, the Radon Shipping News, or DC's Crown Hate Ruin sound.
Yeah. I listened to a little bit of this, and the association I made is a very obscure reference, but there was something about the guitar tone and some of the structure of the riffs, and maybe it's definitely I would say it's definitely drawing from like Farrakhan and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of that band Animal Faces.
Never listened to them.
They were a Canadian band. I don't think they've done anything. They did something in 2016. I missed that. But they were putting out stuff most consistently from like 2010, 2013, 2014 was the last thing I was aware of. Oh, real obscure there.
Yeah. This record is lyrically inspired by climate change and the effects modern technology has on people. There's a couple instrumental tracks on the album as well. I don't know. Anytime I read about a band who I just posted some riffs online and found some people to play with, it always makes me go, oh, maybe I should start a band. But I don't play an instrument, so that's my problem there.
When I see people do that, I'm like, how?
Where are you posting these?
Where? Be more specific.
They got their drummer from Craigslist. But it was also after they'd recorded, I think, some demos and stuff with the first drummer. So, yeah, cool record. This was one of those ones that I was just like, this is right up my lane. This is just there's not a lot that sounds like this kind of thing usually.
Would you say their riffs are more obtuse or acute?
Those mean nothing.
Or
caveman riffs,
acute, obtuse.
Angular?
What angles look like. Yeah.
What you got?
It's more of a Fibonacci sequence to this. You could actually do that. Yeah, you could do that. You just have to count all of these extra measures. The next thing on my list, here's my ska selection for the new tone, bubble, boom, whatever you want to call it. It's not a bubble. It's here to stay. It is Nice One by Catbite.
I don't care, and I swear I'm gonna make it, gonna call your bluff. Oh, I don't care. I swear, ain't gonna figure it, you're not so tough. Oh. I don't care what you think of me. Say my hair's too short and my teeth look green. Gonna look the way that I wanna be. If you got more to say, I'm gonna make you bleed. I can be real cute or I can be a bitch. It don't matter to me, go on and take your pick. When you finally choose, you can say farewell. I'll be knocking down the doors of the gates to hell. I don't care, and I swear I'm gonna make it, gonna call your bluff. I don't care, and I swear ain't gonna fake it, and you're not so tough.
I have a distinct memory of listening to this record driving on the interstate in LA. I also have a distinct memory of listening to this record walking, probably taking the train, getting off the train, walking home, and trying not to shake my ass down the sidewalk. Just fun. So fun. Just catchy, and you want to sing along to everything, every song on here. You're going to be saying CREP all the time. I love when bands spell words in songs. That's a great songwriting trick.
You're a big Fergie fan.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I don't have a ton to say on this one other than it's insanely fun. I love when ska bands basically don't have any horns. There are horns that show up on this record, but they don't have a committed horn player. as much as I love horns, I also love combo organs.
Oh, yeah.
And they are kind of the starring instrument in this band, which I think is really, really cool for a ska band.
Yeah, we figured that out whenever Ann and I did the first Catbite record this year on the episode when you were missing, or you were moving, and you went missing for 2 weeks. And I had my search party. We talked about the first Catbite record, and it was actually maybe a week before the new one came out when we talked about that one. And them not having a horn was one of the things. It was oh yeah, they don't. They're one of those ska bands. It's if you don't have a horn, you got to have those organs. And then what are you? Then you're just, if you don't have those two things, you're what?
Operation Ivy.
That's true. I was going to say Sublime.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it with just a guitar and bass and drums. I mean, all it is a rhythmic thing, but you have to have that beat. That's the important thing. But
yeah,
it's nice to have that pad, that space filling and texture from the organs. I just love the sound of organs, electric organs, combo organs, whatever you want to call them, Farfisa, Vox.
Mm-hmm.
They just sound so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I could make it a top 5 ska records of the year, and this would be one of them. So yeah, there's a lot of really good ska records this year. Alrighty, my number 8 pick is Harvest Verses by the band Wirelines. So I think I've talked about them on the Patreon a couple times now. They're from New Bedford, Massachusetts. It was released April 12th on Blind Rage Records. Morgan from Bedtime Magic actually recommended this album to me. He compared it to Leatherface early on, which I can certainly hear in some of the guitar work, especially the opening track. But vocally, nowhere near the same thing as Frankie Stubbs. He's one of those singers. He's one of those I guess it's a baritone singer, in the vein of a Danzig, but a little bit more melodic. Well, not melodic, a cross between Bob Mould and Danzig. I don't know what I'm saying here, but it's a unique vocal style that you don't hear a ton of bands do unless they're straight up doing Danzig in worship. This is one of those records that I listened to it and then I wanted to listen to it almost immediately, which I am not a turn around and play it again guy. I need space. I need to let it breathe. And I wouldn't call Leatherface the main musical similarity. In fact, I can't really narrow down just one thing. There's some Line in the Sand is another Small Brown Bike sounding song. There's some kind of Anxiety's Kiss Coliseum on this record. There's some Dag Nasty. It reminds me of so many different things without being one specific thing. It was recorded by Alex Garcia Rivera of American Nightmare on 2-inch tape. So this is a fully analog recorded record. And maybe it makes it just kind of spark a little more when you're listening to it. There's a very specific type of band or song that really hits me. And it's that mid-paced, a lot of power behind the vocals and riffs. And then little melancholy thrown in there too. I think the track Shoal on this album really stands out. But then they have a song like The Table, which sounds like if Lance Hahn sang on a Dear You track. It's just all over the place. And not in a bad way. Just lots of different things kind of popping up on this album. But I really enjoyed this record.
I didn't get to listen to the whole thing. I sampled a little bit of it and was really intrigued to hear more. So I think this was the one that I was when I listened to it, I thought, why didn't he send me this?
Well, I Probably did.
Yeah, you probably did, and I just missed it. But that's on me. My next selection is a record that didn't hit for everyone that it should have, but it is Endless Arcade by Teenage Fanclub.
This life is complicated. It's enough to make you blue. And then you have the rug get pulled from under you. I could live in isolation, falling deeper into blue. Or I could take the path that leads me back to you. I didn't find religion, I never needed to. More inclined to put my faith in you.
We talked about this earlier in the year, probably on a What We're Listening to 5x5 Patreon. I don't think it probably didn't ever come up in any main episodes, but yeah, it's Teenage Fanclub. I went and bought it without hearing anything from it, other than like the one single that came out like 3 years ago. Because it's Teenage Fanclub, and I love everything that they've ever done. They're
Even the Jad Far record?
okay, not that one.
You love the King.
Yeah. Their 2016 record Here was a big deal for me. I listen to that all the time. That's probably one of my most listened to Teenage Fanclub records. So I am fully here for latter day Teenage Fanclub. I got to see them in LA a couple of years ago, which was charming and really satisfying. This record is great. It's retro and throwbacky, sort of, but not necessarily to their older records. It doesn't sound like they're trying to recreate Grand Prix or really anything from their discography. It sounds like they're trying to recreate the records that inspired Grand Prix and songs from Northern Britain. And there's a certain kind of like nostalgia that runs through this whole record that I find really interesting. And it's not even like things used to be better, just things used to be. I don't know. That's very cosmic, describing a band that mostly sings about girls.
Yeah, this is the first record without Gerard Love in the band. His presence is felt. Like, his lack of presence is felt. Like, you can tell, like, this is a different band now. And I did love the interplay of the three main, voices and songwriters in the band, like each of them contributing different things. But
I think what's really interesting and striking about this record is, and the lack of Gerard, is the way that Norm has to kind of fill Gerard's shoes. Because I don't think Ray ever does. I think Ray is always Ray.
Ray does Ray songs.
But it does feel, there are moments here where it feels like Norm is doing a Gerard song.
Maybe. Like, and as well as Norm songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, while I miss Gerard's role in the band, it does mean that Ray gets more material, and Ray songs were usually some of my favorites on the record, like every Teenage Fanclub record. So like just getting a lot more of his songs is a welcome change of pace. But I felt like the record was kind of darker sounding too. But if Ray's singing more songs, he tends to sing the slower, darker sounding songs, so it's going to make the record overall feel a little slower. I did want to mention too that Dave McGowan, who has been the keyboardist in the band since 2004, switched over to bass to take Gerard's spot. So they didn't replace him with just some new guy. they put in someone who's been in the band since '04, since all the merge stuff, basically. Since, what was that, Man-Made, I think is the first record he was on. So, yeah, it's not just some stranger in the band. All right, my pick.
Go for it.
Number 7, Ship Thieves, Eruption. Released March 12th on Chunk Saw Records. This is the band's 4th album, and their 2nd after dropping the Chris Wallard from the band name. Chris is still in the band. They just stopped calling it Chris Wallard and the Ship Thieves. And I think their name change kind of signified a change in the band's overall sound in general. So, like, while it's not a huge leap from what they were doing on the self-titled and Canyons, when, No Anchor and Eruption feel like they're signifying a noticeable shift. So, like, the early stuff had more of a singer-songwriter vibe. The Canyons has, like, a little bit more of a rock side to it. There's more, like, twang almost to him. I feel like he was like, well, I'm going to do what Chuck's doing and in this new band. And I think No Anchor and Eruption sound more like Hot Water Music. Probably more like Hot Water Music than the last couple Hot Water Music albums. Like,
gonna get in trouble.
Yep, gonna do it. Though, like, I hear a lot of the draft in here and a lot of the Sheryl Crow mags. Like, it's Chris. It's Chris Wallard. It's what Chris Wallard does. And it's the exact thing I want when I listen to a Chris Wallard record. So, like, it's got these really big guitars. He's got his gravelly, raspy vocals. Some really cool melodies. I was trying to remember. I saw them at Fest 7. And I remember we were all like, oh, yeah, Chris from Howard Music's got a new band. This is going to be so cool. It was either, like, their first show or it was, like, one of their first shows as a band. And we were so pumped to see them. And then after we left, we were like, oh, I didn't think it was going to be so singer-songwriter. Like, we were just like, oh, we were expecting more Hot Water Music sounding. But, they'd done the Hot Water Music thing for a long time at that point. So, this record, though, oh, so good. I think the song Tangled Net really, really stands out for me on this album. I know our taste in Hot Water Music gets us in trouble. I can't help it. I just like the older stuff better. I have very high hopes for the new record because the first single they put out is really good and sounds kind of more like this than Light It Up.
Light it up, up. Yeah, I wish I could be the guy who's like, yeah, I'm really only into Moon Pies for Misfits and like that's it. Just really piss people off.
I mean, saying you don't like A Flight and a Crash, or like it's just not your favorite material by them, is already something that gets people to go, what? Oh, but yeah, I mean, if you're a big Hot Water Music fan, listen to this record. I feel like hopefully you have by this point, but I don't know. The last 3 Ship Thieves records were all on No Idea, and then this was on Chunk Saw. So like I don't know like if people are even super duper aware of Ship Thieves even. Doesn't help the Ship Thieves are listed. It's annoying. They have both Chris Wallard and the Ship Thieves and Ship Thieves listed separately on Spotify, so that's obnoxious, but this one's under Ship Thieves. But yeah, love them. It's like one of my org core submissions to this year's list.
Yeah, I need to give this one an actual listen. I've heard a little bit of it and I'm very into it. And a little bit from the previous the last ones that they've done, and and like, man, I was sleeping on this band. Looking forward to the new Hot Water music. We'll see.
We'll see. But I am looking forward to it.
See.
I think them playing No Division on like a lot of these live shows might be an indicator. So
them playing all their old albums or those special shows might have reminded them that they should play stuff that's like that because people like it.
Yeah, people like these.
All right, my last pick for part 1 of our top 20 of the year is another old standby, a late entry in the career of one of my favorite songwriters, bands, whatever you want to call it, of all time. It is Vanity by Starflyer 59. Went into this record wanting to be mad because of the singles being released the way that they were. Not gonna get into that. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna buy singles from anybody anymore anyways. So this record, I've got all of these like slow mopey records, and I guess it makes sense, but this is a perfect commute record. Time and place. Again, this is standing at the train station for 15 minutes, riding the train, maybe missing the bus and having to walk. Just feels like that from beginning to end, the whole record. I have seen very mixed reviews on this one. People saying he's kind of treading water and it's boring and slow, and the first half is slow. I think it's very intentional in the way that it's structured. And I think this is a great record and one of his best in the last few years. Features some production from T.W. Walsh, Pedro the Lion, plus some of his other projects and solo material and things like that. He brings in some interesting sounds, some keys. There's a trumpet that shows up a few times. The production overall is a nice break from Jason's kind of standard workflow, which is very workmanlike and just like, I plug into this amp simulator and I record the idea, and then I record more ideas, and then I sing on it, and then somebody plays their bass and drums parts on it, and then I mix it. This seems to have a little bit more interplay between someone else's production style and his kind of almost demo-y production style, which I think is interesting and gives it a real lift. But the songs, too, are interesting lyrically. He's not like a great writer. I've always liked the way, though, that he kind of like chops words off so that they fit. I'd have to think of I can't think of an example. He'll just like use the wrong conjugation of a verb just to make it fit musically. All of these songs are about being old, which is kind of what he's always been singing about. Adding in a recent health scare, and then just kind of some more and more transparent thoughts on aging. I was really, really struck, though, by the last two songs. New Guitar is one of the most upbeat songs on the record, but there's something about the way he sings about buying things that you've always wanted that really hits home. He's talking about just shopping for a guitar, the one I want, the one I've always wanted. That's just like, man, it's just stuff. But like, it's really satisfying to have that thing that you've wanted for a long time. I don't know. Ties nicely into the theme of the title of the record being vanity, which I kind of took to be like a more of a ecclesiastic vanity kind of everything is meaningless under the sun. Anyway, the last song is brutal. About his dad who passed away probably quite a few years ago, and just talking about his family and hearing that song. There are multiple songs in his discography where he references John. Hearing the production of this song with the jazzy keyboards was like, oh, Fell in Love at 22, one of those classic early Starflyer pop songs, is about his dad. I never knew that. Like 20 years of listening to this song, probably 15 years of listening to this song. Anyway, I thought this record was great.
Yeah, I have not visited as much as some of the more recent albums by him, but I need to revisit more. All right, my last pick this week, it's my number 6, and it is Division in the Heartland by Bruce Lee Band.
Afraid of mixed races, pledging the flag to defend racist cases. Pains and aches, trade places with fakes. The crowd noise replaced with pre-recorded takes. With suicide rates going viral and mental health spiral, the 1% dance of greed as the front line embrace the need like a sporting event. We root for our team like bandwagon fans, but real life not a dream. Division in the heartland, coming on strong. It's looking like a win for me. Division in the heartland, coming on strong. It's looking like a win for me. False prophets relaying the Bible for the.
You ever have a song that, like, when you say the name of the song, you just say it the way it's sung in the song, like almost like Division in the Heartland is how I should say the album title, because that's the melody of the song. Mike Park is a legend. Besides being, in a million great bands, being an incredible musician, Skank and Pickle, the Chinkies, Bruce Lee Band, solo records, he's done everything. And then he's been in like other bands too. He's also run like one of the most important DIY record labels in punk music, period. It's Asian Man Records. This was released on that label on May 10th. And it's the next EP in a series of great records that he's put out since reviving the Bruce Lee Band name in 2014. I probably like this EP a little bit more than Rental Eviction, which was the last LP that they put out, but it's a short little EP. It's like 5 or 6 songs. It starts off with Say Goodbye to Yesterday, which is like a traditional sounding ska record. It's got like all that toasting and percussion in it, strong like percussion in it. The title track is amazing. One of the best songs on the album. BLT is sung in Korean. Though Mike is like, I have an elementary grasp of Korean. Like he is not like I think he's born in the United States, so I don't think like Korean was his first language. So, or if he did, he stopped speaking it as a kid. But he brought in the Bruce Lee Band is like an amazing lineup, but it's also basically Jeff Rosenstock's band. So it's Jeff Rosenstock, Dan Pothast of MU330, and Kevin Higuchi, who would both play with Jeff. That's like the band. But then on this album, they brought in a bunch of other people. So like Jer from Scartoon Network and We Are the Union plays trombone on here. There's gang vocals, additional backing vocals by Elise Okusami of Oceanator, Augusta Koch of Kayatana, and Laura Stevenson. And then the record was like mastered by Jack Shirley of Comadre at the Atomic Garden. It's just like so many like amazing talents came together to make this record. And God, I just love Mike Park. Like, I feel like there's a Mike Park record every year that like makes my top of the lists. Definitely, I feel like since we've been doing the show, that's been the case. But this is one of my favorite Bruce Lee band releases, like, period. So yeah, I love it. I love this EP.
It's a blast. I wish it was longer.
Yeah, I do too. Even Rental Eviction was short. It's like technically an LP, but it's like 18 minutes or something like that. Yeah, it's a short one too. Short and sweet though. I mean, you get to the point. But that will do it for this week. We will continue our list next week. And you might hear from some more voices going forward, and haven't decided how we're going to release those yet, but you'll definitely hear something from our friends as we go on. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much.